let's kick it off with one of your former clubs, Manchester United. Obviously, as usual, when the Premier League transfer window comes around, they're linked with plenty of players. But really, I think it's a striker that Erik ten Hag is looking for at the moment. Who do you feel is someone that they should be looking to sign to kind of kick them on?
During this window, I'll be very honest with you. I'm not sure. I think ultimately there's not a lot about. And I think it might be just, what you've got, and then in the summer, try and find what you're looking for, which is not going to be easy, because I'll be very, very honest, there's not a lot of centre forwards around anymore. So that'd be a difficult one. So yeah, it'd be interesting, very interesting.
Do you feel like there's any kind of stopgap, short-term solutions? They've been linked with players like Wout Weghorst, who a Burnley player on loan in Turkey.
Wow, when I heard that one, I think I am as surprised as anybody. I know he got a couple of goals in the World Cup. I know he's on loan now in Turkey, but he had an absolute terrible time in his short spell at Burnley. And I will be, like I said, very, very surprised if Manchester United brought him, because he had such a tough time at Burnley. You can only turn around and say to yourself, well, if he had a tough time at Burnley, what can he do if he comes to Manchester United? I think everyone would be looking at it and saying exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I know it's a loan, but the term still turn around and say, well, if he didn't do it for Burnley, he's on loan in Turkey. How's that work out? So that'd be an interesting one.
It's true, because remember Odion Ighalo, when they got him on a kind of short-term 6-month deal from China, came back, scored a few goals, and now they've been looking at people like Morata, Giroud, allegedly Vlahovic, and even Aubameyang. Could you see them going for Aubameyang?
Yeah, current climate, the way Aubameyang struggled at the moment, which I'm very, very surprised he has done. No, but like I said, I'm still very surprised Manchester United are bringing players in on loan. I think Man United's best loan player that would love to take on permanently was Henrik Larsson. I think that loan was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
But if you look at some of the loans since then, you turn around and say to yourself, well, has it really worked? No, nothing's really worked.
It's true, yeah. So speaking of other players that have been linked to Manchester United, Memphis Depay, obviously someone who didn't really cut the mustard when he was there before. Now he's gone back into Europe, played well. Could you see them making a move to bring him back?
That would be another one that, if that happened, that would surprise me as well. I think we can all turn around and say, well, Memphis come to Manchester United when he was a few years younger and it didn't work out particularly well. But you got to turn around and say to yourself, if it did happen, well, you signed him a few years ago, it didn't work out. What makes it going to work out this time?
Yeah.
So that would be another interesting one. And if you look at the players that be mentioned as well, sound half serious. The two Dutch players, and I know the manager knows the Dutch players very well, because ultimately he managed in Holland and he's Dutch himself. But these are two players that have already struggled in England. So second time around, if it was to happen, because this is all hypothetical at the moment, if it was to happen, you turn and say, so well, why are you sure it's going to happen this time? Why it didn't happen last time? But you just don't know. That's football.
It's a gamble, isn't it? I suppose you'd be hoping that they've matured and they've kind of upped their game certain levels, but like you say, it's still a big gamble bringing them back. They say,
definitely.
Yeah, there's still the option of João Felix. It looks like Atletico Madrid are trying to get him out the door, but they're looking for a big loan fee. I think in the region of £20 million for sort of 6 months. Do you see Man United being tempted by that? He's a class player, but like you say,
he is a class player, but if you're talking £20 million for a loan fee, you might as well try and do the deal permanently if you fancy. That's a lot of money on a loan. 20 million pound. I remember when I was young and I was going on loan, there was no such thing as loan fee. It was a case I'll just go and play football, enjoy it.
Yeah.
If it works out, 9 times out of 10, the club moved you on or give you experience if they thought you were good enough for the first team. Now all this loan fee stuff, it's like, where do you not make money?
Exactly. Yeah. I think they're trying to get the wages paid for, and then because obviously his contract will be running down, they'll want some compensation for that. But do you think you could score the goals that would propel Man United to a title challenge, or just guarantee Champions League qualification?
I think it'll create a hell of a lot of goals. Would he score a lot of goals, i.e. Haaland style? No. Because they're two totally different players.
Yeah.
But I think he'd be an individual who get himself in good positions, great goals for his teammates, get a few goals himself. But like I said before, now to get an out-and-out number 9, I'm not even sure where you look, because they're so hard to come by.
Yeah, it's true. Even someone like Gabriel Jesus is obviously not your average number 9 now. He's trying to do a lot more than just score goals. He's linking up the play. But that's kind of what João Felix would do as well. So the fact that Arsenal have been linked with him as well, does that make any sense to you, or do you think they should be looking elsewhere to strengthen?
I'd look at that one if Arsenal said looking at him, saying to myself, that would surprise me, because they've got Jesus. I'm not sure when he's going to be fit, but if it was a loan, yeah, I'll get it if it was a loan. But if it was a permanent, you turn to yourself, so where does Jesus fit in? So a loan, yeah, but like I said, I think that the sticky part is 20 million for loan fee. Come on, man. Yeah. You could use that 20 million to, save it for the summer, to look to bring in someone else and add another 40 to it or whatever, and then you got 60 mil to try and buy yourself a centre forward. So it's a lot of money. Yeah,
makes more sense to bide your time and use that money in the summer.
Yeah.
Speaking of outgoings from Manchester United, potentially Marcus Rashford has been linked with PSG. Could you see his head being turned by that, or do you think he's committed to United at this moment? Would you?
I'll be honest, the modern day game, anything's possible. I think I got asked this question earlier on today, and I think if you look at Marcus, for 2 years, Marcus has found it really, really difficult for whatever reason. He has not been the Marcus Rashford that you saw get himself into the Manchester United first team, take the Premier League by storm, obviously England as well, and then play really well. I think this season he looks like the player that came into the first team a few years ago. Could his head be turned? I honestly believe any player's head could be turned. If you look at what football is today, interesting, but you just never know.
Yeah.
Camayasso come to Manchester United from Real Madrid. Would you ever believe that would have happened at that age? Winning the Champions League again, winning the league again, and then all of a sudden, bang, he's at Manchester United. So, football, anything is possible.
This is it. I suppose the thought for him playing with Messi and Neymar could be a tempting one, but it will depend.
Yeah, Mbappe as well.
Mbappe, exactly. Yeah. It depends. I suppose a lot.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Wouldn't be surprised. Fair enough.
I wouldn't be surprised if his head gets turned. It's like a lot of players' head gets turned nowadays. They want to win Champions League football. They want it. They want to be able to win the tournament. They want to be in it every season. And if it's not happening for you at a certain club, nothing surprises me in football anymore.
So it's been a while since Manchester United have won a trophy. They've got Charlton tomorrow in the EFL Cup. Do you think that competition represents their best chance of winning some silverware this season?
I think being able to have Charlton in the leg coming up tomorrow night, yes. If you win that, you're in the semis.
Yeah. So.
And then once you get to the semis, anything's possible. As we used to say, you get to the semis, you can start smelling the hot dogs.
Yeah, I like that expression. Yeah.
So you just never know.
And then after that, this is the Manchester derby on Sunday. United have lost the last 3 at Old Trafford. What do you think Ten Hag will be looking at tactically for this one to try and get a result positive?
Oh, man. I think it's going to be a cautious approach. I think Manchester United and no doubt Ten Hag, they keep the ball for fun. So when it comes to possession of the football, I can't see Manchester United keeping the possession of the football more than Manchester City.
No,
So naturally, defending numbers, yes, it never used to happen, but I can see Manchester United hitting Manchester City on the counter attack. You know, because the form Rashford finds himself in could possibly cause them problems. But it'd be an interesting game, be a tough game. Every game's tough, but I think the four Manchester City find themselves in, and naturally the four Manchester United find themselves in. If you look at the early part of the season, it was in the same position. Man United had won 4 games on a bounce, played Manchester City. Now they've won 4 games on a bounce again, and they're going to play Manchester City. So let's see where the land lies after this one.
It's true. Coming into it in good form does bode well. Do you have a score in mind, score prediction?
I'll be honest, I don't. I really don't. I'm thinking about this game. I'm saying myself, right? Man United hit them on a counter attack, and Man City dominate the football like they do. When you have so many players like Man City, they will create chances. It's that simple. You know? But you're hoping if they create chances, they don't take the chances. If they go goal up early doors, it's going to be tough for Manchester United, even being the home team. So there's so much going on. There's so much going on. I've not got a score.
Fair enough. We were speaking about Memphis Depay, but Man United are quite well off in those wide positions at the moment. They've got Anthony, they've got Garnacho. Of those 2 players, which excites you most, and which would you like to see in the starting 11 on Sunday?
I think who excites me most, Garnacho.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's busy when he gets on the ball. I think he's aggressive when he gets the ball. He wants to take people on. He wants to drop his shoulder, look to go past people, get crosses in, or get his shots off. And when you're playing in that area, for me personally, as a centre forward, if I've got a wide man who wants to take his man on to get a cross in the box, as a centre forward, that makes my mind up early doors because I know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
I know he's looking to get his shots off, so you got a chance of gambling if he's on target and keep repairs or whatever. And I just look at him. I think he's a real talented player, big future. And I'd love to see him play more this season, definitely.
Yeah. It remains to be seen how much trust Ten Hag wants to put in him, but yeah, definitely a talented player. Since Cristiano Ronaldo's left the club, do you feel like a weight's been lifted off the club, or?
I'm not going to sit. I know I'm an ambassador for Man United. I love my position there, but I'm not going to sit and say, "Oh, Ronaldo was a problem," because at a football club, there's more than one individual that can be a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and say, "Yeah, Ronaldo was a problem." Manchester United did fantastically well to get rid of him, and now everything's all rosy. No, because there seemed to be quite a few problems before Ronaldo joined the football club. Yes, there was a few problems when he was at the football club, but now Manchester United got themselves a few results, 4 wins on a bounce. Everything's Ronaldo, 100% is Ronaldo's fault. So if they lose a couple on the bounce, who do you blame then?
Good question.
So I said I think Manchester United, I think Ronaldo's been an unbelievable player. For what he's done in his career, for whatever happened at the football club, I've sat there and said to myself, why could this not be resolved better? A player of his stature and a club of Manchester United's stature, why could it not marry this together and come to a common agreement? And then whatever happened, they both walked away and said, you know what, respectfully, it didn't work out the way we would have liked it to have worked out.
Yeah, it's a shame the way it ended, but I guess kind of always destined to, in a way that if he wasn't being kind of managed the way he wanted to be managed, then that was
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I won't sit here and say, oh, it's Ronaldo's fault, it's Man United's fault, because I don't know. I could sit and say, oh, yeah, it's all Ronaldo's fault. Yeah, I'm glad he's gone. Well, I would be lying, because without his goals last season, where would Manchester United be? So,
fair point.
What am I gonna? You know what I mean? So it's a 6 in 2 trees.
Yeah. Moving on to one of your other former clubs, Newcastle. Obviously, things are going well for them; they're flying. But do you think Newcastle supporters or the club as a whole would rather win the FA Cup or qualify for the Champions League?
I think no, knowing the Geordies,
Yeah,
both.
both is possible, to be fair.
100%, both. Yeah. Winning a cup, they would love to win a cup, because if you listen to them over many years, they just want to win something. But I think now, because we're in a position and things are getting so close, and to find themselves in the Champions League spot, they would absolutely be buzzing with that as well.
I think that's what
but if you find yourself in that position, it's difficult, because then you're going to have to draw for more reinforcements. You're going to have to spend more money.
That's what I was going to ask you. Where do you see them looking to strengthen? Because seemingly defensively, they're looking pretty solid. Against Arsenal the other night, clean sheet, weren't in too much trouble. But then obviously up front, Chris Wood, not really the kind of top quality striker. So where would they be looking in your eyes?
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing for Newcastle. If you look at Newcastle, you say to yourself, okay, then what is the difference from them last season to this season? How many players have they brought in? 4 players, I think it is. And then if you look at the 4 players they brought in, would you turn around and say, oh, these are like top draw players? You most way wouldn't say that. You know? But they've all gelled together. You know, they've brought into what the manager wants from them. I think you mentioned it, that the back 4 are absolutely solid now. Not conceding many goals. Midfield have got creativity. I think, like you touched on again, the only problem they have at the moment is up front. Wilson doesn't play enough games. Always seems to be picking up injuries. Wood, and like I said, I'm never trying to be disrespectful to anybody. You know, where Newcastle are trying to get to, is Wood going to be able to take them there? Most probably not. So they're in that same position, just like where Manchester United are at the moment, right? Where can we get this number 9 from? That's going to take us further forward.
That's what I was going to mention as well. Alexander Isak, he's back now, isn't he, from his injury finally? So could he be the man to propel them forward? Maybe they don't need to sign anyone if he's back.
He could be. To be fair, I forgot about him. You know, I think after moving to Newcastle, then picking up an injury, I think he's been out for, what is it, 4 months?
Yeah, since September, I think.
Yeah. So he could be the man. You know, international level, he's done it. Sweden, was doing it in Spain at Real, and he started his Premier League career very, very strongly as well. Good goal, a few good goals. So fingers crossed, they'll be looking at him now, saying, right, he's fit, he'll be able to do it.
Do you think the criticism of Eddie Howe's kind of pragmatic tactics and the time wasting that Newcastle have been accused of is fair, or that's just them trying to get any advantage they can?
I think in football you always try to get any advantage that you can. I'm surprised that any team wants to play like that, to be brutally honest. You know, however you look at it, you have to play the so-called Big 4 or Big 5, whatever. So when you go there, it depends how you want to set your team up. And I think the run Newcastle have been on, I'm surprised they go anywhere and want to like time waste or anything like that. Because now they've got the players who believe that they can go in and win any game when they play in it. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised. I think with Eddie Howe, he is a pragmatic coach. He sets his team up a certain way, and you know what they lost. Was it only 1 game up until losing the cup game the other day? So yeah. Everyone does whatever they do for a reason, you know. But so far, he's done a good job.
I agree. What Newcastle players have impressed you most this season? Yes.
Is it Gomez, the midfield player, the Brazilian?
Guimarães,
yeah. I like him. He's tidy, real good footballer, real good feet. I think Joe Linton's done absolutely fantastic.
Yes,
I really. Considering all the flack that he takes, talking about not scoring enough goals, and I think he's been brilliant as well. Yeah. The left-sided player, Almiron
scored a lot of goals, hasn't he? A lot more.
This season, considering he only got 1 last season.
Exactly, yeah.
Again, brilliant. Defensively, Trippier, I think Trippier's been fantastic. I mean, there was talk of him joining Manchester United before he went to Newcastle, and I'm surprised Manchester United didn't do the deal. But I think defensively, they're solid. We've got the boys in midfield that I've touched on there, and then up front.
Do you feel Trippier would have been a better signing than Aaron Wan-Bissaka in hindsight? Hasn't really worked out for him.
It hasn't, but if you look at Trippier as a footballer, you know, he's a very good footballer. He's an intelligent footballer. You know, he defends well. He gets forward well. He can do numerous things, take free kicks. And sometimes, not sometimes, the way the modern day game is, you know, as a defender, he's not just about defending anymore.
No.
I mean, the right back and left back, you're playing as right or left midfield players now. You know, if you look at Trippier throughout his career, that's exactly what he's done. He's a good player. And I think Newcastle bringing him was a real good signing for them.
So, yeah, it's true. The way that game's changed now, fullbacks are so much more important than they were even just 20 years ago. It's
definitely
crazy change. In terms of Newcastle's ownership, obviously there was a lot of controversy surrounding them when they took over the club. How do you feel about that? Do you think that's potentially going to undermine their success?
I'll be very honest, I'm not a politician, you know. I'm not a politician. I don't get involved in politics, and that's just me. For respective clubs, whoever, I mean, the Premier League ratified for that club to be brought by whatever country or whatever it is, I look at it and say to myself, look, it's got nothing to do with me. You know, so long with their respective clubs, they get the results that they would like. And otherwise, I'm not going to sit and say, oh, this is right, that's right. It's got nothing to do with me. I mean, I love football. I'm an ex-player. You know, I love football. It's not for me to pass judgment on anybody. I try my best not to do just that.
Fair enough, fair enough. And with Eddie Howe himself, I'm not sure how long his contract is specifically, but do you think the owners will be looking to upgrade to a kind of more glamorous name in the future?
In football, nothing surprises me. And it all depends on what the club really wants. If you look at majority of the clubs that get taken over, they always end up going for a big name player. I mean, big name manager, because big name manager, the perception is got a better chance of bringing in big name players. You know, and it all depends on what you're trying to do. You try to qualify for the Champions League, try and win the league. Once you get in the Champions League, you try to win that. You try to win, because the game's about winning. And it all depends on how much investment's being put into the club and where. So I think Eddie Howe has done a fantastic job. Would I be surprised again if at some stage Newcastle made a change to bring in a bigger name manager? No, I wouldn't surprise. That wouldn't surprise me, because in football nowadays, nothing surprises me whatsoever.
It's true. Speaking of more kind of transfer potential moves, Jude Bellingham obviously had an incredible World Cup, possibly one of the most valuable youngsters in the world game at the moment. If you were in his shoes, would you be looking to stay at Dortmund a little bit longer, or would you be eyeing up? And if you were coming back to the Premier League, would it be Manchester City or Liverpool?
All depends. All depends on what the project's going to be.
Yeah,
you know, we can say, I'll stay one more year in Germany with Dortmund. It depends what the project's going to be with Dortmund for another year, i.e. like they did with Haaland. You know, right, stay for another year and you're going to go for X, Y, instead amount of money, and then you go wherever you want to go. I think Bellingham's in the same position. You can ask himself, right, what's the project? If Dortmund want to stay another year, should I stay another year? And whatever club I want to go to, is it going to be the right project for me to go to whatever respective club it is? So, I mean, no doubt his parents who look after him will be able to sit down with him and sit down with whatever respective clubs are after him and come to that conclusion.
I suppose it's where he sees himself fitting into the club he moves to as well. If he chose Liverpool, obviously you've got Jordan Henderson coming to the end of his career, so it seems like a natural place for him to fit in. At City, I don't know if he's getting in. Well, he would get in the team, but would he be playing week in, week out? That's what he'd be asking himself.
Yeah, because when you're that age, he's 19.
Yeah,
and he's not going anywhere at 19. He's in Dortmund's first team now. So he's not going to go anywhere at 19 and be talking about, oh yeah, well, you're one for the future. No, you're not one for the future. You're one who needs to be playing now.
Yeah,
I think that was one of the reasons he moved to Dortmund in the first place, because he was guaranteed to play in their first team.
True.
Now, other clubs who thought, oh yeah, well, we can't guarantee your place. You're going to come on here and there. Now they were scratching their head and trying to say, so how the hell did we let him go? Because You can't let talent like that go abroad and think, well, yeah, you're not sure you'd have get into our first team. Well, why not? He's gone to Dortmund, he's absolutely smashed it, and now it's possibly going to take you, 60, 100 million to get him back. And you could have got him for 20 million or whatever the fee was if you'd have turned around and said, yeah, you're going to be in the first team. So it'd be very interesting. Yeah,
it will be interesting to see when he comes back, but hopefully sooner rather than later from a Premier League supporters' point of view.
For me, not for me.
No?
I think if he's going to be playing week in at Dortmund, week in, week out, so at Dortmund, improving, continue to play. You know, if you're going to come back to the Premier League, make sure you pick the right team. That's going to be what you want and what that team expects. If you're going to stay abroad, and you go to Spain or whatever, I mean, it's got to be the right project for him. Otherwise, the project he's got at Dortmund now is absolutely phenomenal. Jadon Sancho was there previously, Haaland was there previously. You know, and if you look at, obviously, it's not worked out as well for Sancho, but if you look at Haaland, he played one more year, and if you look at him now, it's absolute joke.
Killing it. Where do you think it has gone slightly wrong for Sancho? What's happened there?
Oh, I really don't know. I'm one of those individuals. If you could have like 5 minutes with an individual, just sit down and try to get into their mind and find out what's going on. Where do you think it's gone wrong? Because I think as so-called media or experts, we have this tendency to say, oh yeah, well, it's this, it's that, he's not working hard enough, or he's not doing this, or he's not. Well, it's not just that, is it? It's not just about someone working hard enough. Because people do it on the flip side. Well, oh, you know what? He works really hard. Well, working really hard is a given. That's why you play football, because you've got to work hard. You know. So when people say, "What's his attributes?" Oh, he works really hard. Well, you say, well, who doesn't work really hard?
Yeah.
You know. So with Sancho, I don't know. I'd love, like I said, just to spend 5 minutes in his time to find out from him where does he see where it's gone wrong for him, where it could turn around or whatever it may be. So I can't make judgment on that.
It just seems like confidence is lacking at the moment, but hopefully that will come back for him. But someone that we mentioned Liverpool there, so obviously Darwin Núñez seems to have all the attributes to be a world-class striker, but the actual finishing, putting the ball in the back of the net, what advice would you give him?
But to be fair, I wouldn't give him any advice, because everyone on social media wants to give him advice.
Yeah.
Someone come up on social media, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, regarding they put him in the bracket of like being like me. And I'm saying to myself, I find that very, very disrespectful. Not like Núñez is not a different player, but he's a totally different player to me.
Yeah,
totally different. You try to mention that he gets himself in positions but doesn't finish off his chances or whatever. You never ever know what's going through a certain individual's minds. You don't know what he's struggling with from what he's not struggling with. So to make judgment on people is very, very difficult. I've looked at him. He's robust. He's strong. He gets himself in great positions. But for some reason, at this present moment in time, he's finishing his lacking. Will that come? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, he scored a good goal the other day, so perhaps that's the turning point for him. Maybe
a really good finish.
Yeah, it was. So it just takes that one little thing, and perhaps now he'll go on a run and bang them in. But yeah, like you said, just has to
put it this way: he is no Mane, and I think that's why people are talking about him as much as they are, because Mane was absolutely unbelievable.
Great player.
Fantastic player for Liverpool. That's what Liverpool are ultimately missing now. Now I don't know why he decided, or Liverpool decided to get rid of him. If it was financially, I'm looking at it and saying to myself, well, you might as well give him the money that he wanted. Because I think he was an absolute phenomenal player for Liverpool, and that's the player Liverpool missed most of all.
That's true. One of the best signings. I think 30 million they paid for him, and great value they got out of him.
Definitely.
Speaking of Arsenal as well, obviously signing Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus from Manchester City looked like great business. Do you think Man City will live to regret selling them to Arsenal? They didn't probably see them as a rival, but I'm guessing they definitely do now.
No, not at all. I think if you look at what Manchester City have, then you can understand why they got rid of. And I'm not being disrespectful by saying got rid of, but decided, right, we can sell these two players to a prospective rival. And I think Manchester City in that position and the managers in that position to look in his dressing room and to know, right, if my team play to their full capability, there's not many teams that can even match us.
Yeah. Right.
And if you buy into that as a manager and you buy into that as a player, some players, you have to release. I think Guardiola said it many times. He doesn't want unhappy players. Now, if these players are unhappy, I couldn't believe he let Raheem Sterling go as well. But he's moved them all on. And then if you look at the players he's got now, you turn and see yourself, oh, wow.
Yeah, the rebuild. He's doing a kind of reinvention that Alex Ferguson used to do every sort of 5 years.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I still think Manchester City are favourites to win the league. Yeah,
I was about to ask you actually. Yeah, so you think Arsenal's kind of time is ticking? The ticket is.
I'm not saying it's ticking, but if you look at it now, the weekend's game, Man United, Man City, I think it's Arsenal, Tottenham.
Yeah.
If results go Manchester City's way, they're 2 points behind.
A 6-point swing, isn't it? If they win and Arsenal lose, yeah.
There you go. Plus, they've got Arsenal to play. So when they do play Arsenal, whatever happens come this weekend, when they do play Arsenal, if they beat Arsenal, whatever the point difference is there, I mean, they can close the gap there again. So I think Man City have been there. They've got the players that have been there. And you got to still look at them as a hell of a lot of the season to go. You got to still look at them and say, well, they're favourites to win the league.
This is it. And Erling Haaland, obviously on course to break the Premier League goal scoring record, a record that you yourself had at one point in time. So what do you think makes him such a complete striker?
Man, I've seen this guy play so much. And one of the comments this season, he had 2 touches in the first half, 25, 30 minutes. And one of those was a goal. And you turn around and say, how's that feasibly possible? You've had 2 touches in 30 minutes or whatever it is, or one of those are a goal. And that's just it.
Yeah.
He doesn't get involved. He doesn't get involved at all. But when you've got all those players, you don't really have to get involved. And then he'll burst into the box. He'll have one chance, and Man City will go 1-0 out. And then, we've got a great chance to win the game now because the respective team has to open up a little bit more, try to get themselves back in the game. They create another chance for him. 9 times out of 10, he scores. It's 2-0, game over.
Yeah.
He's absolutely fantastic.
Clinical, isn't he? He seems to find so many different ways to score goals as well.
He does.
He hasn't got a trademark finish like Thierry Henry had. He's just everywhere doing everything seemingly.
He is, and you know what? I've been in this position as well when I was at Newcastle. When you have a team that is actually built for you, all the chances are going to be created for you. Because if you look at the way Manchester City play when he's in the team, all he does is run the box. But in saying that, Man City have been like that for years. They've created so many chances for the respective centre forwards, but no centre forward's been like Haaland, who runs in the box, gets tap-ins, gets some crazy goals. And if you look at his numbers, you turn and say, should you be surprised? Most probably not. Because Man City creates so many chances. They've been waiting for a centre forward like this for years, and now they have.
Yeah.
Gets goals for fun.
See what happens. So do you think Pep Guardiola would sacrifice the Premier League to win the Champions League with Man City? Because obviously he hasn't yet. What do you think?
I'll be honest, no.
No.
Because however you look at it, you've got to be the best team after 38 games.
Yeah.
In the Champions League, everyone wants to win, of course. And you want to be known as the best team in Europe, but you can always find a potential banana skin. We end up losing the game or whatever. Mm-hmm. And being under Sir Alex Ferguson, you always want to be the best team after 38 games.
Yeah.
Then you're the best team of your respective country. In the cup competition, i.e. the Champions League, of course you want to win it. But when that potential banana skin hits you, you never know when it's going to be. And I think with Man City, I think no doubt if you ask Pep himself, there's been times when he's changed his team a little bit too much. Mm-hmm. And he turns and says, why has he actually done that? And then they've got knocked out, i.e. the final against Chelsea, the semi against Lyon. If you look back, they've had more than enough opportunities to have won that competition, but could be a little bit of luck or the manager changing certain positions or whatever and not being able to do it.
Yeah. And a question for you, kind of on a personal level, defenders in the Premier League at the moment, who would you least like to come up against? Anyone? Or who's surprised you the most? Like something like.
I'll be honest, no. I mean, I'm not being biased or anything, but I look at the Premier League defenders now to obviously playing in my era, and I'll turn around and say to myself, would I play now or my era?
Yeah.
And I always choose my era.
Oh, yeah?
I always choose my era. I think my era for playing against defenders, midfield players, attackers, or whatever. If you look at majority of the teams then to what the teams are now, I mean, the gap with Man City now is absolutely massive, and I mean, it's huge. You know, my time in the Premier League playing for Manchester United, the gap was never that big.
No,
we always had a challenging team.
Yeah, that was my era as a Arsenal supporter, as I am. But like, those were the days, man. The golden era, the battles at Old Trafford, and all
there you go. So I wouldn't change. No, I wouldn't change it at all. There's some real good defenders now. Obviously, the usual suspects stand out. But then I look at the usual suspects and I turn around and say to myself, well, were they better than what I was playing against them? I don't think they were.
No. In terms of just one other striker that we haven't mentioned, but obviously he's Cody Gakpo, looked great at the World Cup. Liverpool have snapped him up now. Do you feel Man United should have made more of an effort to go after him?
Wow, I'm not sure what happened there. But I think if you listen to all reports before the World Cup, during the World Cup, he was only going to one team, and that was Manchester United. Yeah. What happened after that? I'm as mystified as everybody else.
Yeah, we mentioned the North London derby there briefly. Spurs not looking great in recent times. Conte looking under a bit of pressure. Do you see Harry Kane and Tottenham? Obviously, they'll be so up for it against Arsenal, but tactically, they don't look the best, let's be honest. They're just looking to absorb pressure and play on the break. How do you think that's going to work against an Arsenal team that have looked so dynamic with goals from all areas this season?
It's an interesting one. I think we all know Conte. I think Conte is the man that, as the man, my ex-manager used to say to me, could start around an empty house.
Yeah.
No, I think that's Conte. That's Conte, man. So it's interesting.
It's very interesting. Feisty on the touchline, him and Arteta going at it, I think.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I can see that happening as well. But ultimately, it's about results, and you touched on it. Tottenham being very up and down. So it'd be interesting to see how they do the weekend. Yeah, look, if they can put a span in the works against Arsenal, of course they're going to do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what they'll be looking to do. But with Arsenal, obviously, Jesus is out. Eddie Nketiah, young English striker, kind of not too dissimilar from the way he used to play. I've seen him play a lot. He's obviously in and around, Fox in the box. What do you think of his potential?
I think now he's been given opportunity. He scored goals. I think that was always going to be the worry that Jesus is out. Where we're going to get the goals from? I think he's got himself in the team now. He scored goals and also continue on their good run.
Yeah.
I think they're disappointed because they didn't beat Newcastle. Yeah, well, of course you're going to be disappointed because, it's the home game. Newcastle made it very difficult. But if Nketiah keeps doing what he's doing until obviously Jesus is fit or also decide to bring somebody else, and to keep his form up, he's done a good job.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I like the way he plays, but obviously with Gabriel Martinelli on one wing and Bukayo Saka on the other wing, he's going to get chances, man. It has to be, but like you say, he just has to be clinical, take them.
Exactly.